What's going on, guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel, and welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Ethan Horror. This is Ethan Horror, and today we are going to be going through my top 10 final girls of all time. So that is basically the woman in a slasher movie that survives all the way to the end. Because, I mean, I released my top 10 horror villains. Might as well do the opposite and do my top 10 horror survivors, I guess. But, don't want to waste any time, so let's get right into the video. Number 10, I do have Tree Gelbman. I think that's how you say your last name. Tree Gelbman from Happy Death Day and Happy Death Day to You. I think that she starts off as a huge jerk. I know that. I understand. She's a jerk in the beginning, but that's why I like her so much, because by the end, she's a genuinely good person. Because at the beginning, she's selfish, she's jerky, but by the end, when she's having to relive the days over and over again, then she realizes that she should be a good person, and there's some heavy emotional stuff in this movie, and by the end, she becomes a good person, and it's just really fun to watch. Coming in at number 9 is Kyle from the Child's Play franchise. I guess she's only in Child's Play 2 and Cult of Chucky and the TV series. But this is specifically from Child's Play 2, because, I mean, she's, like, really young, and you don't expect her to really be that big of a character when you first see her in the movie, and then she becomes the final girl at the end. She saves Andy a lot in this movie, and she's taken captive by Chucky at one point, and, I mean, like, she's a great final girl, I think. I mean, even though she's really young, she's a great hero, especially for the Child's Play movies. I also like that she's, like, really worn down from having to go through this orphan system where she has to go to different houses, different people adopting her, but Andy, she takes in immediately, and it's really fun to watch their relationship grow throughout the movie. Coming in at number 8 actually surprised me a little bit, but I know this is going to be way too low for everybody else. It is going to be Sidney Prescott from the Scream series. I do think that this is too low for a lot of people, but I think that this is the perfect spot, because I never really loved her that much. I feel like she was my least favorite of the 3 main characters, like Dewey, Gale, and Sidney. I think I like Gale and Dewey more than her, but I do think that she's a great final girl. She's one of the most capable final girls, the strongest final girls out of, like, a lot of the different movies. And I mean, she's been in every Scream movie, and if she's in Scream 6, she'll be in every movie of the franchise until they decide to make another one. So, I mean, she's survived throughout all of them, and she's one of the few final girls to actually just continue on and keep going through every movie in the series, because Nancy Thompson in Nightmare on Elm Street, she's in 2 movies. In Friday the 13th, the final girls are always different. I think Laurie Strode's the closest thing to her, and she went through the first 2 Halloweens, and then the H2O and Resurrection, and then the newest 3, so between those 2, they're the most consistent final girls. Coming in at number 7, I have a hot take, and it is Laurie Campbell from Freddy Vs. Jason. I assume that she is nowhere near anybody's list, but Freddy vs. Jason has it's so important to me that I often come to her character when I'm thinking of my favorite final girls, because it is my favorite slasher movie. I'll give you that. Freddy vs. Jason, my favorite slasher movie, which is also controversial, but who cares? So she's just kind of defaulted up here because I like the movie so much that even if she wasn't a great character, which, I mean, fair enough, she isn't, but she's just always given the benefit of the doubt because I love Freddy vs. Jason so much, and she's the main character, and it's like, I do think that a lot of like her backstory works and her emotional stuff works, but I understand why she's not on anybody's list. It's mainly just because I love the movie so much. She's just kind of brought up. Coming in at number 6, probably the most controversial opinion on this list, because for everybody it's like, oh, well, obviously this one's defaulted to number 1, but for me, she's number 6, and yeah, you guessed it, it's Laurie Strode from the Halloween series. She would have been lower without the new trilogy, which I do really like her in the new trilogy, but she's always seemed like the template final girl. Like, this is what you need for a final girl, and then all the other movies follow it. So she's basic, like a lot of the Halloween franchise, but I do think that she deserves more because of her coming full circle in the new Halloween trilogy with Halloween 2018, where she's an older woman and she's been training her whole life to finally take down Michael. So I think that she's a good character, but I mean, yeah, she's the OG. Alright, starting off our top 5, we have Ziggy Berman from Fear Street Part 2, the one played by Sadie Sink. Easily my favorite of this trilogy. I really liked this movie. It's probably a top 15 horror movie for me. I know a lot of people didn't care for it. A lot of the younger people did, and I'm younger, so I liked it a lot, actually. The third one didn't do much for me, but this second one is by far my favorite. I like that it's kind of a throwback to the 80s slashers at the summer camps, like Friday the 13th, and she is such a compelling character because, I mean, she is also in the next installment in this series, but she does die at the end. She does lose, but she's brought back, and her character comes full circle in the third one, so I think she's a pretty great final girl. And coming in at number 4, Helen Lyle from Candyman. I love Candyman. I think it's one of the best slasher movies ever. It's a great, probably my favorite one from the 90s. I do like it more than Scream, but just by a little bit. Because I think it's more scary. It's more real. It's a very real movie. And I do think it's probably one of the scariest slashers of all time. But that doesn't have anything to do with how great her character is, because she eventually becomes Candyman, because she's trying to take down Candyman the whole time, and she keeps getting framed for all of the stuff that Candyman's doing, which leads to some heartbreaking scenes, some scary scenes, and I mean, eventually she does get her revenge and kills her cheating boyfriend after she's dead. And I just really like her character. I mean, that scene when she's like covered in blood at the house where with the dead dog, like, it's a heartbreaking scene for this character and for the audience to endure. And I mean, I think she's a great character. I think Candyman's one of the best slashers of all time, and she's a big part of why that is. Coming in at number 3, we have Sally Hardesty from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I do think Texas Chainsaw Massacre is a great movie. I do think it's a little bit overrated, but it's also a little bit underrated at this point, because a lot of people love it way too much, and a lot of people hate it way too much. But I do think it's a great movie in general, and Sally Hardesty is one of the best parts of the movie, because she's our main character, where she's who we're rooting for the whole time, and just seeing the torture that she has to endure the entire time is just, it's sickening at some points. Like that dinner scene, that is a gross scene, and she's just sitting there screaming the entire time. That scene where she's escaping at the end, and she's escaped onto the truck, and she's just screaming, and Leatherface is swinging his chainsaw around, that's one of my favorite scenes in horror history. And I mean, she's a pretty great final girl. And Texas Chainsaw Massacre, as I said, I love that movie, and she's one of the main parts. Coming in at number 2, Nancy Thompson from A Nightmare on Elm Street and Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3. She was my favorite for a while, like a long time. I think Heather Langenkamp puts in one of the best performances as a final girl, and she kills it. I mean, she just has such a fiery character that it's like funny when Glenn falls asleep when he falls asleep on the job, and she like lays into him. It's one of the funniest parts of that entire series, and it's just because it's so unironically funny. And she wants to survive so badly that her hair starts graying from stress, and she literally just stops sleeping for like a week, and it is so fun to watch because I mean she is going to survive, and like that's what she wants to survive, and she is going to survive. That is what we watch as she tries everything in her power and eventually does survive. But sadly she is taken out in the Dream Warriors, but I mean, for the time that we got with her, I think she did pretty great. But coming in at number 1, you knew it, I knew it. Well, I guess you probably didn't know it. But if you know me well enough, you know I love the Friday the 13th series. So I'm probably going to pick one from the Friday the 13th series. I tried to narrow it down to 1 character per series, otherwise I'd probably have like 3 from that series. But it is Ginny Fields from Friday the 13th Part 2. I just think she has the best character. She's the least templated final girl. I mean, yeah, she's still like the virgin final girl who survives to the end, but she's able to emotionally manipulate Jason, and she fights back at him physically and mentally. I mean, she's able to mentally manipulate Jason by pretending that she's his mother, which is great. And I mean, she fights back at him with a chainsaw. She's just great all around. And most of the other final girls in this franchise are a little bit basic, so I mean, it's great to have something new in this series, and that's why she's my favorite of the franchise and my favorite final girl of all time. If you guys did enjoy the video, make sure to click the like button so I know you like videos like this, and so I can do more like it. Make sure to drop some suggestions down below in the comments because I run out of ideas, and if I do post a poll on my channel of which video to do next, please answer. Otherwise, if you really enjoyed the video and you want to see more horror movie content, click subscribe and hit the bell so that you don't miss any new videos when I post them. And I'll see all you guys next time.